Cool guys. So what I'm doing right now is that I just recorded a video on my mobile, which is basically a recap of what I did yesterday, which is day two, and what I'm doing right now on day three. So I just finished right now it's 3:17 p.m. and from morning to till now I finished my office work, and right now I have the entire day which is left to me, and I'm gonna focus on building chatbots. And why chatbot is because it's one of the way I can start freelancing, right? Because chatbots is primarily what the world is going after. So why not learn chatbots and probably give it as a service? And the all one other another idea behind it is that it will act as a a foot in the door with larger companies, right? For example, if they want you to make chatbots, probably they might have other projects regarding data analysis or data science for that matter. So with this knowledge or skill of building chatbots, we can definitely leverage this to have a foot in the door and have a conversation. And then if even if not, we can take referrals from people and just try something out, right? So that's the idea. And so I was talking to Leela here, and Leela was telling me that there's a big concern with LLMs and chatbots is with security, and that you need to upload info to LLM and it might not be safe. So I have to explore that as well. So yes, so these are the things that I need to do. So safety, let's put this as a heading, which is heading 3, and chatbot, I can name it as chatbot and give it as heading 3. So we have to concerns with LLM, just safety, right? Any model that is better at data analysis. So let's keep it as 3. So these are challenges that we have. These are things that we need to figure out. How to solutions to these. So my focus today would be to focus on these two, which is concerns with LLMs and which is the best model for data analysis, because that's the core offering that we'll be doing, that will be giving to our customers, to our prospects. So we need to be very good at this aspect. Cool. So I'm gonna go over Coursera and then just build my first chatbot very quickly. So yeah, I was also checking out this aspect and also LangChain. So if I need to go into nitty gritty of freelancing, may I choose chatbot. Okay, so just to go over just to recap and to understand what I did on Saturday. Yeah, so okay. Not able to find the one that I had researched. Okay, anyway, cool. So I have this right. LangChain is a framework. So LangChain is a framework that enables the creation of conversational AI models by leveraging large LLM and fine-tuning them for a specific task. Okay, great. It allows developers to build and train their own conversation AI models, which can be used to power chatbots. Great. By learning LangChain, you can gain deeper understanding of of how chatbots process and respond to the users. Great. Cool. Again, so I have three things to do. Okay, and now I need to make a decision which one is the important and where I should focus my energies. So one is chatbot plus LangChain, and another is security, which is having a private LLM on machine, and then can we host it to AWS and run from there. That's the idea. And then we have to find out which model is the best for data analysis, right? So the time right now is around 15-20 hours. So I have like till 1700 hours, cameras, right? So that's like, and then I will take a break of like some time. So probably then if I resume by 1800 hours, and then I'll go till maybe 2000 hours, which is like 8 p.m. So I have what I have like two sessions, which is of two sessions. So which one is the most priority? I guess knowing if we can have a private LLM is something which is the first priority, right? Security concerns, and then probably analyzing which model for data analysis is my second priority, and then chatbot, and how chatbot works, like a demo of chatbot. So I think this should be the priority. Let me just think about it for a moment. It's a good way. So how do we set priorities? Okay, I think the first question I should ask is that which is the most important task? Which is the most important task, right? I guess if I can find so basically this one is this one, and the first one and third one, which is security, and finding a model that I can run on my machine privately. I think if I'm able to do it, then obviously it'll overlap with how to make chatbot. So the above will in some way overlap with chatbot itself, right? So I think this makes sense. Which is the most important? This is the most important task. Even if I am working for more than 3 hours, 4 hours, and even spending the entire afternoon and evening on this one task, and if I will do it or find something, this will be super useful. Then I can actually allocate tomorrow morning yeah. Yeah, even this one, because this is second priority because we are planning to provide data analysis services. So if we have a model in house, right, that can do data analysis like chat GPT is doing, then it's something. It's not jackpot, but definitely that's something. So I think these two are the most important things right now that I should do. Great. I spent like 7 minutes to plan, and I think I'm much more clear right now what I should do in my afternoon. With my afternoon, I would have jumped with this because I've already made a decision that using Coursera plus subscription, I would just jump on it because I last Friday, I think Saturday evening, when you can watch my day one videos, I had decided that I will get into this, right? This is what I have decided. But with my call with Leela, and I think it makes much more sense if I just get into security and finding models and which models is the best data analysis, which model is best. So this will be much more important for us to figure out. Cool. Great, Vignesh. I think we have a plan. Will work. Wait, just 1 second, guys. Keeping yourself hydrated is very important. Awesome. Perfect. So that's what we're gonna do. Cool. So let's first go to Reddit. Concerns. Excuse me. LLM. Okay, cool. So let's figure out what are the security concerns that people are facing. Business security and questions and discussions. Cyber security. What are the discussions about security for LLM use? Perfect. What does Lucker means? Maybe somebody who's hanging out for a long time. A person who reads messages about alternate discussions forum or social media platform but does not contribute. Okay. I'm implementing an LLM policy at my company, and I'm concerned about the security risk involved for my own research, particularly around ChatGPT's training policies. Alternative seems pricey, okay, or have weird conditions about human review of input data, even if it's not used for training. Interesting. Alternatives seems pricey, fine, that I can understand, but what does this mean? Have weird conditions about human review of input data. Okay, some weird conditions they have, even if it's not used, even if it's not used for training. Okay, I have yet to see a really good discussion about best practices for cybersecurity angle here, but if I missed one, please do point me in the right directions. That said, to kick off a discussion, I have few questions to get started. Do you care about this stuff as a cybersecurity personnel? Are you allowed to use do you recommend allowing to use ChatGPT at your workplace? If not, why not? And what alternatives do you use or recommend? Do you change your policy recommendation based on data classification at the workplace? Just this thing. How much of it is reflected at your personal use? In your personal use of LLM using security practices. Okay. I know that ChatGPT data practices aren't great, but a long shot. But it's just source code for the most part. What seems relatively risk, where this becomes tricky, is the company grows. It seems like it would be challenging to limit use cases so that developers can use ChatGPT. Okay, great. One thing that I remember is, uh, shit. Okay, anyway. For one, I can check out Jason's YouTube channel. Okay. Where this becomes tricky. Okay. Do you mean policies around exfiltrations or non-public data in the case where that is used as input for LLM hosted by external services? If your company has a contractual agreement with the company hosting the LLM, the data protection consideration would fall under the same legal security and GRC policy as any other third party platform or service your organization using. The contract should have provisions on how OpenAI should be handling your non-public data that aligns with your organization goal. Okay. Let me just give me a summary here. ChatGPT. Okay. Give me a summary of about. Without such contract, LLM is considered as external party. You can disable the use of function. The use of LLM should not change the internal data classification. Great. It's advisable to enforce company policy. Consider logging out all LLM queries possibly through API gateway to monitor platform. Okay. To answer your question, yes, that's our primary concern. Our concerns building API gateway or really any direct relationship with most companies is that they do still have a term that requires prompt and output to be persisted for up to 30 days and human reviews prompted. They severely limit use of of demand where this is not the case. I'm not talking about OpenAI either. Even the Azure AI service has this provision. Okay. They or really any direct distribution with LM hosting companies is that they do still have a term that requires prompt and output to be persisted for 30 days. Any human review is permitted. I'm not talking about just so the idea with the AI is something like upload device and runs itself, takes the query forward to. I think I'm on the wrong for okay. As of other LM options, do you mean hosting on ASO continues? I'm not too clued up with different current offerings. Maybe someone else would know. The key thing here is actually ensuring employee compliance and assessing the risk when people are not compliant. Nothing really stopping anyone from making queries with non-public information on the personal devices. It's still risky, but most companies accept similar risk profiles. What is this? The free open source OpenAI alternative, self-hosted, community-driven, and local first. Drop-in replacement for OpenAI running on consumer-grade hardware. No GPU required. Runs GGUF, transformers, diffuser, and many more models architectures. It allows to generate text, audio, video, images, also the voice of clone capabilities. Okay. Local AI seems interesting. Okay, good, bro. Local AI is a free open source alternative. Local AI acts as a drop-in replacement for REST API that's compatible with OpenAI specifications for local AI interfacing. It allows you to run LLM, generate images, audio, not only locally or on-prem with consumer grade hardware, but supporting multiple model families. Does not require GPU. It is created by maintained by. Okay. Text generations with GPT, Llama, and GPT-4.cpp. Text to audio text, image generation, communities and integration, build and deploy custom container, fine tune, build and deploy open source LLM easily. Oh, interesting. AI kit is a one-stop shop. 424 is a one-stop shop to quickly get started to host, deploy, build and fine-tune LLMs. AI Kit offers two main capabilities. Interference. AI Kit uses local AI which supports a wide range of inference capabilities and formats. Local AI provides a drop-in replacement REST API that is OpenAI compatible, so you can use any OpenAI AI API capabilities client. Offers extensible fine-tuned interface. It supports no GPU, no internet access relation Docker. The only problem is I don't have experience with software development. So though I understand what they are able to say, but again I think I need to get into this and try it out, right? And that's the only way to figure things out. Cool. So let's see if we have any videos about this topic on local AI. Cool. So we have like 10k views.
If you are a developer working on the AI field,
very interesting video. You are converting a topic close to my heart to have a localized AI instead of public version. I needed this. Thanks you have tried leveraging local AI embedding such as sentence transformer. I haven't got an error. Not sure if you have another video. No video yet, but I want to do more on that. I did write an article using embedding in an app, like basically like maybe it helps. Good man, they are at least responsive. Okay, first of all, Semas, who are you?
In the first video in the series, I made my first steps into machine learning.
Optimize, elevate, and streamline. Oh shit. But I just wanted to understand who these guys are. Is the Semaphore is the best CI/CD solution for high performance engineering teams. We are on a mission to help you become well-rounded developer. Oh, is it? I need to understand what does this means. Okay. In the above statement, what does CI/CD means? Continuous integration, continuous deployment. Okay. The development practice where developers regularly merge their code change into central repository following an automated builds. I think this is what we did when I was in IT with I think GitHub allows you to do it, and other softwares also I think allows you to do it. Continuous deployment extends CI by automatically deploying all code changes that pass the testing phase to production. This ensures that the software is always in a deployable state and that new features or fixes can be delivered to user quickly and reliably. Okay, .com. Singapore helps product teams deliver software with high standards and quality. Mm, interesting. So I think they have a pricing also. Okay. Startup, 0 users per month, no seat cost, no user. Interesting. I would love to know more about them. Same behind security. Okay, let's look at the general videos. What are the topics they are covering? Unpacking organized and wiring open source business models with what does business model means? Open source business models.
Go to KubeCon, have end users talk about how they're using it in production, get my team mentored up and coached and have them going. I still get to work on it and with a significant amount of my time. And that's kind of where we are today.
Great. And yeah, in the prep part of the podcast, we talked about open.
Okay. Yeah, I think these guys are, making a software where, let's say, if you develop an AI thing, you can continuously keep on improving it. They provide you that solution. Very interesting. Let's look at playlist and if we can find something interesting here in terms of how to.
Hi, my name is Tommy and I'm with Semaphore, and today I want to show you how to package a web application with Docker so you can run it anywhere. I will leave links in this.
Yeah,
If you're a
this is a
developer
good.
working on the AI field, you're very familiar with OpenAI API.
Okay, local AI is an open source replacement of OpenAI API. Okay, powered by private LLMs. Local AI lets you replace OpenAI with any open source AI model without having to rewrite your code. Learn how to run. Oh my god, this is what I wanted. Great. Your own private chat GPT. What you will learn: reasons to run a private LLM, cost effectiveness, enhanced privacy and freedom of running. Cost effectiveness, enhanced privacy, yes, and a freedom to run custom models. Introduction to local AI. Discover what local AI is and how it serves as a free open source alternative. Okay. Local AI features. Look at the array of capabilities from charting with chat GPT models to image generation. Interesting. So let me just watch this one first.
Large language models like
6 ways to run chat journal in machine, including Llama 3. Okay. Open source AI and large language models are getting better and better. If we can replace ChatGPT with or Bard with them, we could gain a great deal of privacy and use these models in cases where we previously couldn't before, like when dealing with sensitive proprietary data. In this video, we learn 6 ways to run various open source languages locally. Wow, interesting. I'm interested. Boost blog post with examples, Hugging Face, LangChain, Llama, CPP. Interesting.
ChatGPT, Anthropic, Claude, or Google Bard are really powerful tools with lots of use cases. However, all these services have the same big drawback: privacy. What happens if we are dealing with sensitive data? We can't send that over the wire, even for reasons of compliance or even for reasons of trust. We can't really trust sending data over the wire, and we don't know what is going to happen to that. So this is where having a private language model we can run in our own machines is really valuable. There are literally hundreds of open source models that have already been trained and are ready to use. So join me in my quest to find a ChatGPT replacement I can run locally in my laptop. So before we start, let's set the expectations. There are hundreds of thousands of open source models out there, some trained by individuals, or some like this, trained like corporations like Meta. To run some of these models, we need a beefy machine with lots of memory and even a GPU. Some smaller models can run on a laptop, but even with the best hardware, open source models are smaller in size and a little bit less powerful than polished products like ChatGPT. After all, OpenAI has dedicated hundreds of engineers to maintaining the thing. In this leaked document, it's called We Have No Moat, and neither does OpenAI, and it goes into great detail into explaining how open source has solved some problems like running language models on phones or multimodality. And here we have a comparison between closed and open source models. Open source models are quickly going over new iterations 1 or 2 weeks apart, and even they are smaller, they can do a very good job compared to closed source models that are maybe 1,000 times bigger. So you probably heard about the site huggingface.co. This is the largest repository for open source models. We can find projects and models that are uploaded by individuals or even by corporations. You can find models from Microsoft, from Meta, and here we have a lot of things. This is a really busy page because it's not only about language model but also about things like image generation, you know, and really state-of-the-art AI. But what we want for our use case for language models is to go here to models, and then we have to filter on here on the left side by tasks. So we have here a whole lot of tasks like audio or, you know, image processing. What we want is something along natural language processing, and I hear that this is the first thing we need to pay attention because the kind of work we are needing depends on what task we choose here. So it's not the same to select translation than to select summarization. Ideally we want to pick the best model for our job. In my case, for example, I would like to have something to chat with, so I will pick conversational, and this starts to filter. The other big filter here is in the library section, and this is all the kinds of libraries and ways of running the language models. Most of these models are transformers. Transformers is a type of model. This is the T in ChatGPT. And it's also a library from Hugging Face, a Python library that simplifies setting up a model. You know, we also have popular libraries like PyTorch, TensorFlow, JAX, which is a Google library. Then we have some formats like GGUF, which is a format used for Llama models, and Keras is another big library. So we're going to pick something here that we know how to use or we want to learn how to use. For starters, let's pick transformers, and then we can sort here on the right side for training or most downloads, and open one of these models will give us information about the model. Let's pick one that I know it will work in my machine because it's quite limited in memory. And for example, we can pick Microsoft Dialog GPT. This is a GPT-2 model, which is a smaller and older model. But here we have the model card, which basically explains how the model works, and more importantly, how to use it. So you have some snippets of code you can copy and paste on your computer and run the model. If you don't find any information here that's useful, you can always click here on Use in Transformers, and you will find a couple of snippets. Normally the first snippet is the one that starts your program, and this picks this model. The Transformers library will download the model automatically in your machine and set it up, and obviously you need to complete the code with the logic you want to do in your library, in your project. So let's go and pick one of these. So to get started, we are going to need a few tools like the compiler, make or CMake. These are all things that I have installed in my machine, but you probably need to have installed so the library is compiled. We are going to start by installing PyTorch and TensorFlow, which will cover most of the things we're going to need for this example. We can use pip to install both libraries, and then we're going to install Transformers Sentence Piece. This is a version of Transformers that has a complete package, you know, all the tools you will need to run Hugging Face Transformers. So let's create a new file, chat.py, and we're going to paste the code here. This is the code in the model. We are using this model, and this is the exact code that we find in the model card. The first time this runs, it's going to download the model, which in this case is about 3 gigabytes. I already ran it, so it's going to just start, but you're going to see that there's a little bit of a boot up time before we get the model to run. This is a small model, GPT-2, really medium size. So here we have a prompt, how are you doing? And we should get some response. We have a warning here, I'm doing well, how about you? So this is basically the model is running using Python, TensorFlow, and the Transformer library from Hugging Face. As you can see, to use this, you really need to code the behavior, because Hugging Face only provides the part that deals with the model, how to start, how to encode and decode the data, but the behavior of the model, of the application, you need to code it, you need to develop it in your application. So regarding Hugging Face Transformers, we can find the pros is that it handles the model downloaded automatically, and we have snippets in the Hugging Face site to use the models. It's the best thing we have for experimenting and learning about machine learning, and of course you can integrate the code into your own product. For the cons, you do need a solid understanding of machine learning and natural language processing. You know, this is something you will need to learn to use these libraries efficiently. and you need to code the application, the behavior, the logic, everything, it's on your side to do. You need also to know how models are configured for best performance, and it's not as fast as other alternatives we'll see a little bit later, so you really need a powerful machine to run them locally. So LangChain is a framework for building language
Interesting. This
applications
is what.
on top.
Okay, so till now, what I've understood is that there are frameworks. I mean, to run a model locally, there's nothing. It's not about using local AI for that matter. You can just go to Hugging Face, and if you have downloaded that model in your machine and can give it command, and it will respond, right? Obviously, depending on your local machine's hardware capabilities, it will respond. Okay, this is what we need to understand also, correct? Like, if I'm putting this into AWS, how much would it cost me? This is something which also is a parameter to consider, correct? Yeah. Okay, great. If we can, yeah, so that is number one. Great, that is a great insight, that I can just go to Hugging Face and download the model. He said it's 3 GB. I don't know how much it will cost in AWS or Google Cloud if I put that 3 GB model and have an API and give it a call. I don't know how much it will cost, but nonetheless, for now, we do have uh, the understanding that yes, if I download this particular model in my machine and run it locally, I will get an answer. I will get a chat GPT which is running locally in my machine. So that is good, right? And this is where I think he'll explain what LangChain is, and probably I'll get much more deeper understanding of LangChain and how to use it. Cool.
Of your models. It's an ecosystem that comprises connections to models. They can be local or remote, and all kinds of middleware to augment your application. It supports vector databases and all kinds of templating to create an application with Python that uses a language model as an engine. If we go, for example, here to components, we will find all the large language models that are supported by LangChain. We can even use a model from Hugging Face. We have integrations with Llama and all kind of tools. We can even integrate with OpenAI. This is not what we want, because we want something that runs on our hardware. So if you want to run the model with LangChain, you will still need the Transformers library and PyTorch or TensorFlow, depending on the model. You also will need to install Hugging Face.
Sorry guys, I had a call, but anyway, let's look at it.
Something, a tool that's useful for managing models. And of course, we will have to install LangChain itself. So now let's create the same version we did with Transformers, but this time we're going to use LangChain chat. We are going to paste the code here. We are using the Hugging Face pipeline. This is part of the LangChain project, and we are using the pipeline from Hugging Face, the same model of before, Dialog GPT Medium. And then we have the prompts. This is all in the documentation, but basically we are using what you already have from Hugging Face Transformers, and we're supplying here a question. So let's see if it works. This is not a chat, it's just going to reply to my question, which is what is encephalography. After about 10 or 20 seconds, we have the answer and it's working. So we can use this to build our chat application. So LangChain successfully accessed the model from Hugging Face, and that means it's working. And this is the start. Obviously, we can use a lot of more tools that LangChain provides to build a very complex application with lots of features. But this is the basis for running a model on LangChain. So going over LangChain, we can sum up the cons and the pros in one list. The pros is that it's easy to use because it has an ecosystem. You can run local and remote models side to side. And while you need to be a developer, you don't need to be a machine learning specialist like with Transformers, so you can focus on the logic of the application, but you still need to develop the application. The cons is the same as Transformers because it's slow compared to other alternatives. We'll see later. It's still running on Python, so you still need a good machine to run a model locally.
Okay.
On Python. So you still need a good machine to run a model locally. So the third way of running a local LLM is with llama.cpp. This is support of JAMA models from Facebook and Meta that run on C and C++. And we are going to see that they are most performant. They run bigger models on smaller hardware. I'm able to run a bigger model in this laptop, something that I couldn't do with Hugging Face, for example, or LangChain. So here we have basically a very optimized version of a model, and they have very a good support for Apple Silicon. So this is ideal, at least for me and for everyone that's using M1 or M2 chips. So it's a good way of running a local LLM using less resources. Okay, to use llama.cpp, we are going to need to basically clone the repository. We're going to clone the repository. Once cloned, we can build the project we make. So now we can execute main, and we see that it's not running because we don't have a model. The llama.cpp uses a special format that's designed for this project, that's gguf. This is one way of storing the model formats. It's one of the most modern ways of storing a model compared with, for example, PyTorch or TensorFlow that uses .bin or .h5. This format is better, you know. So we are going to go to Hugging Face and locate one of the models in this format, download it, and then test llama.cpp. So back to Hugging Face, let's pick a Llama 2 file. There's a few. If you want the official Llama files from Meta, you need to create an account on Hugging Face, and the email must match the one you have in Facebook, and you need to request access, you know, and that takes a couple of days. But if we don't want to do that, there's also a few models out there uploaded by individuals. We can pick, for example, this one, Llama 2, 7 billion parameters, and it's in gguf. You can see here in files and version the model files. There's different types of models. The queue comes from quantization, so it depends on how many bits the model uses. We can download for testing the smallest quantization model, and it will take a while, but once we have that, we can execute it on our llama.cpp. Okay, so now that I have the model downloaded, I can use -m and call that. I have it in my temp file, and it's going to start. And since I didn't produce the models in this format for llama.cpp. Okay, so now that I have the model downloaded, I can
download the model,
and it is models, the files and version, the model files. There's different types of models. The queue comes from quantization, so it depends on how many bits the model uses. We can download for testing the smallest quantization model, and it will take a while, but once we have that, we can execute it on our llama.cpp. Okay, so now that I have the model downloaded, I can use -m and call that. I have it in my temp file, and it's going to start. And since I didn't ask anything, I didn't put any prompt, it just start spouting random text. So let me cancel it. Okay, and let's start again. Now we're going to use the -p parameter, and this is going to initialize with some prompt, and we should hopefully start getting some information. So there's a lot of more options here. We can create a template, which would be the best, you know, to interact with llama.cpp, but it seems that it's generating some output. So let's see what we get. So we got an answer here. For reference, this is a model that wouldn't run with PyTorch or TensorFlow, so llama.cpp is really more performant. We get at the end some benchmark about time, you know, and so it's very interesting, and it allows me to run things that I wouldn't normally be able to do. Going over to llama.cpp, the pros is that it's a lot more performant. You see that we can run models I couldn't have run with Python, thanks to being pure C, and it has a lot of optimizations. I can run bigger models with less hardware. I can run them in the command line or as a browser application, and there's a good number of options to tweak the behavior of the models, you know. And if you want to build an application, you can still do that because it has bindings for various languages, so you can have your logic in, for example, JavaScript and Node.js, and the model actually be running with llama.cpp. For the cons is that it doesn't support all models in Hugging Face, only Llama models or Vicuña. There's a subset of models that are supported. you have to build the tool, so you need some knowledge and tools installed, and it's not as user friendly as some tools we'll see later on. So while we're talking about Llama CPP, this is another project that's related.
Okay, cool, interesting. So here we got 6 ways in which this gentleman, this person have recorded this video and is telling us that how we can use 6 methods to run model locally. And I see here, oh, this analytics person, crazy, she also have done it. I will watch this video next, but thank you so much, Tommy, if it's Tommy, that to show us how we can do it with us, from like how we can do it locally, run LLM models locally. Great, I got 6 ways, perfect. Now I just have to kind of understand this, and then we are actually, I just don't want a LLM, but I want a LLM that actually performs data analysis locally. Correct, that's my entire goal. Perfect, I am getting much more clarity now.
From Mozilla, it's called Llama file or JAMA file, and basically this is one portable script you can run anywhere. You can run it on Linux, Mac OS, or even Windows, and basically you can download this file and download a model and run it without having to compile anything. And you can even embed the model in an executable file that runs anywhere, so you can share your models easily and other people can run them just by double clicking on the file, which is great. So to use this project, we have a few options. We can download the file directly and it will just work, but since I already have a model downloaded, I don't want to download it again. I can just go here and use the project with external weights. So I will download the Mac OS version. I'm going to download the file. This works both on Mac OS and Linux, and there's a separate one for Windows. We need also to make it, let me see, executable, and running it will throw an error because we don't have a model. It's looking for the wrong model, but we can always put the -m and supply the model we already have from the last example, and so to load it. In this case, it's not a command line application. It will open a browser where we can interact with the model. So this is the starting page. As you can see, this is just llama.cpp, and we have a few options here to tweak the model, but let's simply talk to the model and see what happens. So it's starting to produce text. Let's ask the same thing we asked before, and we should, since the model is the same, it should provide a very similar answer. So here the model is working more or less at the same speed, but in this case we didn't have to build or clone any repository, just download one file and one model. And you can see the answer is shorter because the options we supplied when we started the model. We also have the option to upload images and ask the model about the images. When the model is multimodal, in this case it should work. So this is, I think, an easier alternative to running llama.cpp. You have the same benefits, but with an easier install. So going over Llama file, we can sum up the pros and cons in one list. The pros is the same as llama.cpp. It's fast, and you can run big models on a small machine. And the other advantage is that you can build a single executable file you can share with other developers to publish, and it will run on any machine. The cons is the same as llama.cpp because you don't have all the models available for you, only the models available for llama.cpp. There's yet another JAMA version here. It's ojama.ai. This site will give you an executable file for Linux or Mac OS, and once you download this and install it in your machine, it installs a command line tool and downloads the JAMA file and the JAMA models for it directly. So I think this is the easiest way to run a Llama file, because you don't have to, you just double click and then run your query on the terminal. Let's see how it works. So with Ojama, we have to download the tool and install it, and then pick one of these models that are here, for example Llama 2. We can, once we install it, we can go to the to a terminal. So once we install Llama, we have a service on the taskbar, and then a command on the command line. The first thing we need is to pull a model. We saw that we have a Llama 2 model available, so this is the first step. We pull the model, and next we run a Llama run and the model name, and it should start a command line session. We can talk with the model here. Let's ask the model the same thing we asked so far to see if we have a good answer. So we have a pretty similar answer. It's a little bit slower than Llama CPP or Llama File, but it's really easy to get the installation going and to download the models. Now, with Llama, I think this is the easiest to install and use way to run a Llama model. It's just double clicking and it installs a service on your machine, and then you open the terminal and just run, select your model and run your prompts and get results. Maybe you can run Llama, Vicuña models very easily and it runs really fast. For the cons is you do have a limited set of models. There's less models than on Llama.cpp currently. Maybe that changes in the future. The other thing is that you can't manage the models. The tool manages downloading the models, so if you already have models downloaded, maybe you need to download them again. There's not a lot of options to tweak. This is really a tool dedicated to a user that is interested in using the language model, not in tweaking the things and the options. And there's no Windows version, so if you're on Windows, this won't work for you. So the last product we're going to see today is GPT-4o. This is the most user-friendly interface because it includes a GUI and it allows you to simply install the application, select one model, it automatically downloads it, and you can run your queries. You can even add your own documents into the application, and it will go and index them. And once you have the documents indexed, you can query them, you can talk to your documents, you can ask the model to summarize or translate. So this is a really good way of working with documents locally without sending them over the wire, and keeping them private and safe. So to get started, we need to download the installer for our system. So once we install the application and start it, we get this window very similar to ChatGPT. The first thing is to go here and go to downloads and select one of the models. Here you will find the available models, and we can select one of these. And I already installed Mistral OpenOrca, but I could not download any others. We have the sizes, and we can also interact with OpenAI, the API key. But let's use this model that I already downloaded. Another thing that's useful here is to go to the options here. Here we can change the prompt for the model, temperature, and all the parameters to tweak it. And one thing that this application has is that you can add a path, a folder. For example, I use my document folder here, and it will index that. And once it's indexed, I can simply go here and enable this folder. And now the model has access to all my files in that directory. For example, this directory has a lot of books on CI/CD, and we can ask, for example, that the model to give us a definition, well, depending on the files it finds in my docs, in my ebooks directory. So as you can see, we have an answer here, and it even provides the context. It identified the book and summarized a definition from my document. So it's a really powerful feature. Of course, we can use the model normally, like any other model, ask questions and everything, but with documents, we have more alternatives. So for GPT-4o, the pros is that it has a polished GUI. It's a user-friendly option with things today. We can use local and remote online models like OpenAI. It supports 30 billion parameter models easily in my machine, so it's performing great. You can add your own documents for context, so you can keep your data safe in your machine. For the cons, I would say that there's a very limited amount of models, and some of the models are not able to be used commercially. So the choice of how to run a large language model will depend on your needs. If you want ChatGPT, you can use GPT-4o, which is one of the best ones around. But if you want to build a project on top of a language model, you will need something like llamas.cpp or even Python. If your goal is learning machine learning, you need to learn Python and use the libraries for machine learning. So I hope I made a case for running your own large language model. The models are only getting better, and I think the gap between closed and open source models are getting shorter and smaller all the time. And especially there's a case for using local language models because you are in total control of your own lab. That's all for now. I really do want to explore AI in more detail in the future. So
thank you so much, Tommy, to make this video, and probably we'll see this one. And how
you've been doing this the wrong way. Say you get a bunch of separate Excel files from different stores, and you
as I get older, I realize.
Perfect. So just give me a minute, I'll be back. Cool guys, let's watch this video and let's see what we can learn from this.
Money is not everything.
By the way, she's one of the pioneers in data analysis. She's one of the best data analysts out there and has a very good following on YouTube. So I'm really hoping that this video will teach us a lot on how LLMs can analyze data and produce different and give us different insights. So I'm really hopeful for this video, to learn from this video.
everything, but it's kind of almost everything. So every year or every other year, I download all my bank transactions and review my incomes and expenses. The other day, I came across someone who made this income and expense breakdown, and I feel really inspired to do the same. Usually, the most tricky thing in the process is to classify the expenses from my bank transactions into appropriate categories. A lot of times, I just use my manual labor or some low-tech ways to do that. This year, I decided to ask ChatGPT to crunch the number for me and maybe tell me when I can retire. Only then to realize that I can't just upload my bank statement to ChatGPT website. It's all sensitive information about places I've been to, shops I visited, how much I spent on buying secret items and other personal data. Although using OpenAI APIs may help, still the data sent via the API is stored by OpenAI for a duration of up to 30 days. So eventually I decide to download and run an open source large language model locally on my laptop. And the best thing yet, they are free. In this project video, we do a few exciting things. First, we learn to install and run an LLM, for example, Llama 2, locally on our laptop. Then we use the LLM to classify all the expenses in my bank statement into categories, such as groceries, rent, travel, and so on. We then analyze the data in Python and create some visualizations to show the main insights. I shared all the code on GitHub, so you can check out the GitHub repo in the video description. This video is sponsored by Coursera. Coursera is running a discount with $200 off the Coursera Plus annual subscription if you sign up. This is half the regular price for the whole year. With this subscription, you can get access to tons of courses and analytics certificates. There are a few different ways to run as you need and the Google Advanced Data Analytics certificates in Data Analytics the whole year. With this subscription, you can get access to tons of courses and certificates in data analytics, including the Google Data Analytics and the Google Advanced Data Analytics certificates. These certificates teach you all the fundamentals you need as a beginner in data analytics. So check out the offer below. There are a few different ways to run a large language model locally on your laptop, which means you can run the LLM without internet connection, without a third-party service like an API service or a website like ChatGPT. As you can imagine, this is secure if you want to protect your personal data, and it's free. There are now a few different frameworks developed to help us run an open source language model locally on our own device. Some popular frameworks are Llama CPP, GPT-4o, and Ollama. So you might be wondering, why the heck do we even need these frameworks? Remember how large language models are trained? They're basically the result of taking a huge amount of internet data and train a large neural network on it, and the model that comes out is basically a zip file with a bunch of numbers that represents the weights of all the parameters in the neural network. This model file can be quite large depending on how many parameters the model has. So frameworks like Ollama and Llama CPP basically try to do two things. The first thing is quantization. It tries to reduce the memory footprint of the raw model weights, and the second thing is makes it more efficient for us, the consumer, to use the models. If you have a Mac or Linux machine, I would highly recommend installing Ollama. It's super simple and I'll show you in a bit. If you have a Windows machine, you can also run Ollama through the Docker desktop. Okay, now let's go to Ollama website. And here you can download Ollama, which is available for Mac OS and Linux, and Windows will be coming soon. Also have a quick look at the list of models.
Let's see, we have. So this video was 4 months ago, and back then Ollama said they will be releasing Windows. I'm gonna open this and let's see if we have for Windows. Wonderful. So Windows they have released, it seems. Oh, wonderful. So they have requires Windows 10 or later. Yeah, we do have Windows 10 or later. Wonderful, super. So we'll install Windows. We'll install Llama and see how that goes. Wonderful.
Some are available. So here we have Llama 2, Mistral. We have a bunch of other code models.
Okay, let's look at Llama and see which models are available. So we have Llama 3. Oh, 2.7 million pulls. V3 is a light is a family of lightweight and 14 state-of-the-art models. IA 23 is a current model. Okay,
And so there's a lot of options here for you to try out. And if we click on any of them, we can see the description, also how to use API, what is the memory requirements, so how much RAM you need in your laptop in order to run these models. So let's download Ollama and install it. It's very straightforward, just like installing any app on your laptop. So once we've installed Ollama, we can start using it through our terminal. In order to install a language model locally through Ollama, we just need to run the command Ollama pool and then specify the model that you want to install. So for example, I will install again Mistral. It's pretty fast because I've already installed it last time. So, and you can see here the model is around 4 GB. So in order to use a model through a terminal, we just need to do Ollama run Mistral, and here we can start typing our message or our prompt. So let's say hello, and the model replied with hello there, how can I help you today? Ooh, so that's a lot of things. Okay, so I can ask something a little bit stupid. What's 2 plus 2? Okay, it comes back with quite an elaborate answer. Now let's try another question. I want to see if it actually can do math properly. Let me ask what's this time this. Okay, wow. That's amazing. Okay, it even tries to teach me how to find the product of two large numbers step by step. Now let me check if this is actually the correct answer. So let me go to Google. Okay, so what I have here is around 426 billion. However, if I look at the result here, it's actually not correct. 45 millions. I can check this result using a calculator to make sure it's correct. Well, I've checked it and it's not correct. I kind of have to say I'm impressed, but in terms of basic arithmetic, I think large language models out of the box are probably not the best option. Alright, the next thing we want to test, and that is very important for this project, is whether the Mistral model can properly classify all the different expenses in my bank statement into different categories. So I just try out a prompt here to see how it performs. Now I ask, can you add an appropriate category to the following expenses? For example, Spotify as entertainment, beta bodos as sports, and here I just give a list of transactions as shown in my bank statement. So let's see what it comes up with. Okay, so it replies with 3 categories. It's roughly correct. I would say it's reasonable, but it missed one transaction here, which is Bistro Bar Amsterdam, and also it doesn't really reply in the format that I wanted. So the transaction together with the category separate by this hyphen. So I feel like Mistral, it doesn't really do the task as I expected it to do. So let's try another model, which is Llama 2. Let's exit this model and we will Ollama run Llama 2. But if you haven't installed Llama 2, you can do Ollama Llama 2, and the Llama 2 model will be installed locally in your computer. Now we can start using Llama 2 model. Now let's ask the same question as we asked before, and it does it pretty well. It gives me a list of the expenses together with the categories, although the first 2 are my own example, but it does give me the correct format for the answers, and so each of these transactions has a category added next to it, separated by a hyphen. So I'm pretty happy with Llama 2, and it actually understands the task. Although if you keep asking the same question to these language models multiple times, these models may come back with different answers each time, and so there's definitely a certain level of randomness in the responses. If you want to take a step further to customize these language models to your specific use case, you can do that by specifying a model file. And a model file is basically the blueprint to create and share language models with Ollama. So you can specify the base model you want to use, and also you can set parameters like the temperature for the model. Now let's go back to the terminal and exit this model. Let's clear the terminal, and I'll go ahead and create a model file with Nano, and I'll name this model file as expense analyzer, and we'll go into the text editor. Okay, let's first specify the base model as Llama 2, so from Llama 2, and next we set the temperature parameter as, let's say, 0.8. Temperature closer to 1 is more creative, and the lower the temperature, the more coherent and less creative the model behaves. And further, let's also specify the custom system message. So my system prompt is quite basic. If you're a financial assistant, you have classified expense and income from bank transactions. Okay, let's save this file by Ctrl X. Yes. Enter. Now that we have the model file set up, we can use this model file to create a custom model. We can do this by Ollama create. We specify the custom model name -f, and then specify the name of the model file. So that is expense analyzer. So now if we run this command, basically what it's doing under the hood is that Ollama will pass through this text file, this model file expense analyzer, passing through all the parameters and the custom message that we put in, and then customize all these different layers in the base model, which is Llama 2. And now we can start using this custom Llama 2 model that we just created by Ollama run expense analyzer. And I also forgot to mention that we can also now look at.
You're going very fast. Wait.
Yes. Enter. Not the and less creative the more. My system prompt is quite
so
basic. If you're financial.
That okay, from llama to parameter, okay, she have set a parameter for the model to behave in a creative manner. like close to creative manner. So she's like, system, you are a financial assistant. Okay, she's assigning a role and income from a, okay, and you help classify expenses.
So assistant,
okay.
you help classify expense and int
Okay.
and buying transactions.
That's
Okay, let's save this file by Control X. Yes.
Okay.
Enter. Now that we have the model file set up, we can use this model file to create a custom model. We can do this by Ollama create. We specify the custom model name -f and then specify the name of the model file. So that is expense analyzer. So now if we run this command, basically what it's doing under the hood is that Ollama will pass through this text file, this model file expense analyzer, passing through all the parameters and the custom message that we put in, and then customize all these different layers in the base model, which is Llama 2. And now we can start using this custom Llama 2 model that we just created by Ollama run expense analyzer. And I also forgot to mention that we can also now look at the model list available by Ollama list, and you can also see that now we have the expense analyzer Llama 2 model available in our list. Now interacting with these local LLMs through the terminal is also fine, but I find a more convenient way to interact with these models is through the Python environment, and more specifically through Jupyter Notebook. Now let's create a
wonderful.
project folder, and I'll move my buying transaction data inside this folder, and I'll just start up Visual Studio Code from this folder. In order to access these language models from Ollama with Python, we need to install the LangChain community library.
Okay.
And so if you haven't done so, we can use pip install, and now we can access all the language models we have installed through Ollama by specifying the name of the model with this Ollama method.
Interesting.
For example, the first man on the moon was ... and after a few seconds we get back the completion of this sentence. So that means our model is up and running. That is a good sign. Now let's move on to reading the transaction data that we have and take a look at it. You can see that here in the name description column we have all the transactions
Interesting, very
that we want to
interesting.
classify. We have the indicator whether it is expense or income, and we also have the amount in euros of these transactions. Now I have anonymized a lot of these transactions, so this is not my real income and real expenses. Now we need to find a way to insert all these different expenses into our prompt, right? Let's get all the unique transactions from our data. You can see that this is quite a big list, and this may exceed the token limit that the large language model has. So if we try to insert this huge list into our prompt, there's a risk that the model comes back with a completely nonsensical answer or incomplete answer because your question is already taking too many tokens. So after many trial and errors, I found that around 30 transactions would give the most optimal response. So here you can see an example response with 30 transactions. So with this approach, we are going to create a for loop to basically loop through all the 300 transactions here in our buying statement, and we take in 30 transactions at a time. And so a handy way to handle this for loop is to get an index list. So this index list is basically giving us a sequence of all the index from 0 until the last item, hopping 30 items at a time. And with this, we can also conveniently handle the last group as well, which might not be 30 items, but maybe less. Now let's initialize a data frame to store all the unique transactions and their responding categories. And with this for loop, I'll call a custom function that I created. And this function takes the names of the transactions of the LLM that we are using. And the only thing we need to do is to properly parse the output from the language model into a format that we can work with. So if we look at this output, we definitely only want to keep these lines, right? And we don't want the rest, like certainly here's the categories, but we don't need to worry about this for now because at the end we can always remove all the rows that have categories being none. The complication is that sometimes the language model might use a different format for the answer, so we had to use some kind of like validator for the output in order to make sure that the output actually is in the format we want. For example, in the response, we have the hyphen in between the transaction and the category. So one handy Python library for this is Pydantic. So the idea is that after getting the response, we will run it through a validation check. If the validation fails, we will rerun the language model to get another response until we get the right output. If you're interested in how to do this with Pydantic, you can check out the code in the GitHub repo, link in description. Okay, now let me run this for loop and also print out the transaction names and also the output by the models. I also notice that when I'm running this for loop, for some reason, if I want to stop it, I really cannot stop it. So if for some reason we want to interrupt this process, we can go to the terminal and do pq olama. And so in the backend, all the olama processes will be stopped. Okay, after a while, if everything goes well, we should get back the data frame with all the transaction with the categories that Llama 2 has categorized for us. I'll just save the CSV here. Now let's open the CSV file and quickly look at the output. Overall, I'm quite happy with the categories that Llama 2 came up with. However, some categories may be quite similar to each other, but not completely the same, and I want to group them together. So I just quickly group these categories by hand. Now the last step is to clean up a little bit this data frame, and then we can go ahead and merge this data frame into the main transaction data frame using the transaction name. So after this, we should have a data frame with all the information, the transactions, and the categories. So that was exciting, but the next part of the project is even more exciting. We create a personal finance dashboard based on the transaction data that we just obtained. The idea for this dashboard is we want to show the income breakdown and the expense breakdown for both years 2022 and 2023. And at the bottom, I also want to show how much I earn and how much I spend per month in each year. So for creating interactive visualization, I love using Plotly Express. For the creation of the dashboard, we also use Panel. Panel is an awesome library for creating data dashboard very easily and very fast. Now let's read in our transaction data, and for the income, I don't have a lot of income sources, so I can just use the name of the income as the category. Firstly, we want to make the pie chart to show the income and expense breakdown. I created a function here to basically take the data and select for the year and whether we are looking at the expense or the income in the data set. And similarly, I also create a function to make bar charts that basically gives us a histogram of the income or expense per month over the year. And you can see that it's super nice with Plotly Express that you can also hover on the different sections on the graph and see the data label. Now we're almost done. We just need to combine and organize all these charts on our dashboard. So here I just create a panel layout with the tabs, which consist of two tabs. We have the 2022. For 2023 tab, we have exactly the same charts and graphs, but for 2023 data. And to show all this nicely on the dashboard, we will use a template from Panel called Fastlist template. We can specify the header of our dashboard. We have the sidebar, which is some information, and also you can put in different elements or pictures, etc. And in the main here, we will put in the tabs that we just created. And if we do template show, we can see that this is our dashboard, and here's my income and expense breakdown, and here is how much I earn and how much I spend per month in each year. You can see that I do save a little bit more in 2022 than in 2023, which is not really a good sign. But if you're into personal finance and things like that, you may notice that this overview is probably not complete because we also have assets. So if you transfer your money to an investment account, or if you pay the mortgage towards your house, then part of that money is also your asset as well, and not only your expense. Although, as you can see, I can't retire anytime soon. I hope this inspires you to do your own projects and experiment with open source language.
Wow, so interesting. Oh, only after 10 days. Oh, 10 days ago. Wow, so lucky for us. Now works on Windows normally. Wow, wonderful. This is great. We are in the process of integrating LLMs into our what if scenarios modeling platform, and give me few ideas on next step, sharing this video with my dev team. incredible intro video for semi-technical about how ChatGPT and similar models can be used in a daily life to improve the mundane task. Yeah, actually, oh my god. But the thing is, we got two videos here, which is exactly the next thing I was looking for. Thank you, YouTube, for recommending this.
It's time for an upgrade.
Awesome. So you think you might be a great project manager, but you need to enhance your skills? Then get this course on Udemy.
I built an AI server for my daughters. Well, first, it was more for me. I wanted to run all of my AI locally, and I'm not just talking command line with Olama. No. We have a GUI, a beautiful chat interface. And this thing's feature filled. It's got RBAC, chat histories, multiple models. We can even add stable diffusion. And I was able to add this to my notes application, Obsidian, and have my chat interface right there. I'm gonna show you how to do this. Now, you don't need something crazy like Terry. That's what I named my AI server. It can be something as simple as this laptop. I'll actually demo the entire setup on this laptop. So likely the computer you're using right now, the one you're watching this video on, will probably work. And seriously, you're gonna love this. It's customizable, it's wicked fast, like way faster than anything else I've used. Isn't that amazing? And again, it's local, it's private. I control it, which is important because I'm giving it to my daughters. I want them to be able to use AI to help with school, but I don't want them to cheat or do anything else weird. But because I have control, I can put in special model files that restrict what they can do, what they can ask, and I'll show you how to do that. So here we go. Get your coffee ready. We're about to dive in. But first, let me have you meet Terry. Now Terry has a lot of muscle, so for the case, I needed something big. I got the Leon Lee 011 Dynamic Evo XL. The full tower EAT, also a beast. I'll put it to hold my
Great way to
Asus
pitch a product.
X670E Creator Pro Art motherboard. This thing's also a beast. I'll put in the description.